All right, this is it, your final review and recap for Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3, and for the entire series. The Mettle of Man starts right where Judgment Day left us. The gigantic demonic creature, Kandar the Destroyer, is terrorizing Elk Grove. People are going deadite left and right, and there's absolutely nothing that the soldiers, tanks, and airstrikes can do to stop it. According to some news reports, this attack isn't even isolated to Elk Grove. The demonic attacks are happening worldwide. At that point, it really does feel like all hope is lost, especially when Ash basically decides he's giving up during a very convincing and pretty upsetting meltdown. But here's where the relationship between him and Brandy that's been building all season long really comes in handy. It took most of Season 3, but she finally believes in him, and now's the time, maybe more so than ever, for Ash to rise to the occasion and own up to who he is, and Brandy gets him to commit to that. Even though one might think that the priority should be stopping Kandar, Ash, Brandy, and Pablo decide the next step is getting to the hardware store to save Kelly. Fortunately, Evil thinks Pablo is just one of them, so he can walk around out there, but Ash and Brandy have to go underground. Normally, I do prefer the team sticking together, but separating the group up here really does up the scope of the episode. Above ground, we get to see Evil continuing to spread throughout the town. We get some great shots of Kandar, and I really like the design of that monster. And I think the effects across the board are pretty solid here as well. Down below, though, we get a set with a very different feel to it, and we also get some great deadite action with a whole bunch of them going after Ash and Brandy. We've had some cool deadites highlighted this season, and the fight at the Sperm Bank is still one of my favorites, but it is kind of nice to see them go big like this in the end and take the zombie horde approach to it. The group does reunite at the hardware store basement, where Pablo is the one who goes into the rift while Brandy and Ash take down a few more deadites. And again, after watching their relationship build all season, it is so much fun watching them fight side by side here. Pablo does eventually make it back to the real world, and after a brief fake out there, it's revealed that he did it. Kelly is back. They kiss. Brandy and Ash have the perfect reaction to that, and then I also got a good laugh out of Kelly basically looking like she really did come back from the dead. But now here's where we start to move into grand finale territory. The four of them go back outside, where they find out that the military's plan is to nuke Kandar, even though every bullet they hit it with only makes it stronger. We get some solid moments of Kelly and Pablo doing what they've always done best. Pablo being kind and saving a kid who's all alone, for example, and then Kelly, well, fucking a deadite's face with bullets. Then the sensitivity kicked in, and maybe more so because I watched this episode knowing it was all coming to a close, but I wasn't all that far away from shedding a tear here. Ash puts Brandy, Pablo, and Kelly into a military transport, and instead of joining them, he opts to face Kandar alone. It's a really powerful moment with the close-ups, the music cue, and then having Ash address them each individually. It's basically a reminder of everything that's happened to them throughout this season, throughout the show overall, and it just really hurt to see this family torn apart. After that, though, the truck drives off, and it's time for Ash to do what he said he would, own up to who he is, and put a stop to Kandar. He hops into a tank, arms a shell with the Kandarian dagger, and then, after some technical difficulties, of course, he manages to fire it right at Kandar, taking him down. Now, that's when things get a little strange. Kandar drops the tank, knocking Ash out, but we get flashes of him coming to just enough to see someone came to help him, and that someone has a Knights of Sumeria ring on. When Ash finally does wake up, he's in this strange white room in some sort of orange box contraption. His hand has been replaced, and then he meets a woman who looks like she's missing her stomach region, teasing that, I don't know, maybe she's some sort of robot. It is possible, I guess, that the same tech that fixed Ash's hand is what's in her stomach, but every time she moves, there's a technical kind of sound to it. Also, she bows and calls him savior, so human or not, maybe she does have a connection to the Knights of Sumeria here. When she opens the facility door so we can get a look outside, it looks like a post-apocalyptic landscape. She unveils Ash's new ride, which of course is super cool and armed to a T. He presses her for more information then, but she says that she's going to explain to him as he drives and warned him the Dark Ones are on the move. It's an interesting but kind of frustrating place to end because, yeah, this looks like a cool idea for season 4 that'll stand out from previous seasons, but we're not getting one. Obviously, we know this scene takes place in the future, but I do suspect it would have put Ash well into the future, given the tech involved, and also the fact that that orange box looked a lot like something that could possibly keep someone alive for an extended period of time. Again, this is all great, and I would have been excited to see where this setup takes us, but it isn't happening. Ultimately, though, I'm feeling pretty satisfied with how the season wrapped up. Sure, I wanted happy endings for the main characters across the board, but this final episode was a really nice way to top off Ash's transformation this season. We still got a lot of inappropriate humor, but the idea of Ash taking being a father so seriously was very effective throughout most of the season, and that's part of the reason why the Mettle of Man works so well on many levels. One, because it's a lot of fun to see Brandy come all this way, fight alongside Ash, and also show off some Williams-style humor too here. But they also had a couple of heart-to-hearts this episode that, yet again, upped the stakes of the show. Her inspirational speech played well, and then I like what they did with the short fight they had after. The getting high thing is obviously very Ash, but him telling her not to repeat his mistakes didn't take away from the fun of the moment, but it did have a really honest charm to it. And then, of course, there's what she says to him in the tunnel, how she can't believe how hard it must have been for him to go through all of this and have no one believe him. It's sad that she wanted to know his story, but given how things wrapped up this episode, he might not get the chance to tell her about everything. There's also Linda's necklace, of course, from the first Evil Dead film, which I thought was a nice but kind of subtle way to tie in the film franchise here, which I did appreciate. And as for Pablo and Kelly, the romance, plus that last moment when Ash tells Kelly she's got to step up and be a leader, and he tells Pablo he's the jefe now, was really all I needed for them. No matter what the episode ending does mean, it's nice to leave those characters with that thought that they'll continue this fight, but with Ash's final message in mind. It really is so disappointing to see this show go, but it's been something else from start to finish. I'll never forget my first time seeing the first episode of the whole series when I was at New York Comic-Con. I walked out thinking, wow, that shouldn't have worked so well, but it does. And then after that, when each episode kept impressing me, I was just busy wondering all the time, how long can they possibly keep this up? And in the end, the answer to that question was 3 full seasons. Every episode had killer set pieces, expanded the Evil Dead mythology, and also had me fall in love with the Ghost Beaters more and more every single minute. So yeah, it's sad it's over, but I really do have to send a huge thank you to everyone involved in this one because, I don't know, simply put, this series did bring a lot of joy to my life for the last 2.5 years. When you choose to invest time in a show and watch it week to week, that's a real commitment, and the team behind Ash vs. Evil Dead really did make following along a treat, and the same goes for me just covering the show from season to season. It's kind of weird thinking back about how much my path has changed since the show first started. I remember interviewing the cast for season 1 when I was still living in New York. Then I moved to LA and we got to do the After Ash show at Collider, and then from there I grew to the point that I was confident in having my very own YouTube channel, and now being able to build this community around this show right here during season 3 has just been something that is so special to me. So to everyone involved in the making of this show, thank you. To everyone who's watching and singing the show's praises, thank you too. And just remember, even though the series has come to a close, seasons 1 and 2 are on Netflix, and I'm sure season 3 will be there eventually as well. So you can still spread the joy of this insanely delightful, zany, and gory series by telling people about it. So again, thank you for watching this review and recap. Please like and share it, and I'll be back real soon with more TV coverage.